It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph. Wednesday evening, November 15th. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and euro this evening. Crude is range bound with a triangle pattern, telling me to focus on failures, selling above the highs, and buying below the lows tomorrow morning. S&P is also range bound just above the prior week low, so my plan is to use the 2-try rule to fade the breakouts until something changes tomorrow morning. The Nasdaq is range bound with a triangle, telling me to avoid the middle and focus on failures up above the highs and below the lows tomorrow. Gold is bearish, the big old spike in range pattern, telling me to use the 2-try rule to sell up above the range high tomorrow morning with a target going back down to yesterday's low. And the euro is bearish with a spike in channel, so I'm focused on selling with buyer failures up above the moving average tomorrow morning. Boy, I got a great newsletter in store for you guys and gals tonight. We get some big moves on the gold and euro, and we got some range-bound markets on the Eminis, right, and the crude oil. Before we jump in, though, and plan the trades for tomorrow, I want to make sure to remind you the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry, there's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link and come join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets for the full-length version. While you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when our newsletter goes live. Follow me on social, StockTwits, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever your favorite flavor of choice. I'm always posting important charts, links, and updates throughout the week. And speaking of charts, how easy is that? You can have all the downloads or have all the charts on your computer for tomorrow, right? So be ready for tomorrow's session. Follow that link that says download today's charts. And speaking of tomorrow, don't forget to come out and join me on that free pass tomorrow. You're going to learn more with me on that free pass than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. I can guarantee you that. If you're not a member here at School of Trade, make sure you grab that free pass and come out and join me tomorrow in the trade room. And last but not least, don't forget, if you have any questions for me, I'm always here standing by to answer your questions, right? I'm always here on live support. Hit me up on live support on the right-hand side of the website if you have any questions. Boy, busy day today. What a busy week it's been so far. Tomorrow, of course, is Thursday, the 16th of November. We got some minor news coming out in the overnight session from Australia. I don't expect that to move too much of these markets tonight, so I wouldn't worry about too much about it for tomorrow. As far as tomorrow morning, though, goes, we got the retail sales number at 4:30 a.m. That should be a relatively important news number for trading London session tomorrow morning. If you're with me tomorrow morning in the U.S. session, we got the 8:30 jobless claims and the good old Philly Fed. We got the industrial production at 9:15, and that's about all we have to worry about tomorrow morning. So overnight, not that big of a deal. That labor force survey from Australia, right? Retail sales, though, should get things moving in the London session overnight. And, of course, tomorrow, typical jobless claims at 8:30. And, of course, an added bonus, right? We've got the industrial production at 9:15 Eastern time tomorrow morning. Don't forget, we'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I expect to see you there with all of our advanced members. Let's keep going. Jumping into our charts here for tonight, we got crude oil, S&P, Nasdaq, maybe a little bit of gold, and we'll wrap up tonight on the euro, right? Quite a busy day on gold and euro, so don't forget to stick around for that. Starting off tonight here on crude oil. Crude oil is range bound with a triangle after this morning's inventory report. So my plan is to fade the breakouts tomorrow. I'm looking for buying opportunities below the lows, selling opportunities above the highs, and I'm focusing on failures to send price back into the range tomorrow. As you can see here, moving average is pretty much flat here on the chart. We've got some higher lows, we got some lower highs. I'm going to call that a triangle, right? Whenever I have a triangle on the chart, I always focus on the extremes of the triangle. That creates the battle zone below. Extremes of the triangle, that creates the battle zone overhead. And now all you got to do from there is try to get the market up. Focus on failures. Buyers try once, buyers try twice, and looking to sell this market back down into the range. As we go lower, sellers try once, sellers try twice, and back up into the range. If we can get a sell off the high, easiest target is always back to the middle of the range, right here at 55.19, and of course a runner to the opposite side of the range down at the 54.88, 54.85 area. Same thing to the opposite side. One try, two try, seller failure below the low of that range, and then trying to go back up into that range tomorrow. First target off at that 55.19, runner back to the opposite side. The hardest part about a range-bound market is staying away from the middle, right? It was a pretty narrow range environment this morning, as you guys probably saw on crude oil. So the hardest part is going to be staying away from it, right? Stay away from that middle. We got support below us. We got resistance above us. Most important thing will be get up above it. Look for that 2-try rule. Remember, we're not just going to fade it, right? I'm expecting a breakout to try and hold and then back in. You can kind of see how up, pull back, go, and failure, right? There's your 2-try. So think about the M pattern off the high, M pattern off the high. Think about that W pattern off the low, right? W pattern off the low. Stay away from the middle. Buy those lows, sell those highs, right, and focus on failures. Now, what would it take to be a breakout? What does a breakout look like? Well, a breakout would, of course, first start with strength, right? Got to have a really strong break higher. Now, just a strong break higher doesn't mean anything because it can easily fail and we'll be selling right back down into that range. But if that breakout can hold a pullback, moving average comes over, right, hold a pullback, and this is where it becomes important. I want to see the market literally explode through that high. Basically, I want to see the sellers who are still riding this move after yesterday, if you recall, right? I want to see those sellers literally get run over up here. I'm going to have to see, it needs to be really strong, break out, pull back, break higher, right? It's a strength, pull back, strength, right? Looking for that move busting higher here tomorrow. So strong move up, pull back, and then strong move through it. I've got to see some continuation there if we're going to be able to confidently, right, call this a breakout. If it does break out, usually this won't be much of a useful channel. It'll usually be more of a shorter term channel from there. We'll know more once we get there tomorrow, right? But if we do get a breakout, whether it be up or down tomorrow, we'll look for that new channel. We'll look for our new measured moves. And obviously here, as we go lower, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult to get selling lower. We really have to go pushing through those prior month high and prior month close levels for us to really get confidence to sell low. Going higher going to be relatively easy, right? Strong move up, pull back, and there's a lot of open space up here, right? This is that big move down from yesterday. So we get a lot of open space above. If we get the breakout higher, we don't have a lot of open space, right, down below because of those prior month levels, right? There really isn't a lot of open space down there. So if we do sink down to those lows, 1-try, 2-try, be very careful selling down to those lows, right? I'm expecting the market to reject those lows and back up into that range tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll be in our trade room, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Look forward to seeing you guys there with me, and we'll execute the strategy together. How about some S&P? The S&P is range bound as sellers keep getting rejected below that prior week low. My plan for a range-bound market, pretty simple. Buy the low, sell the high, avoid the middle, and focus on failures using that 2-try rule until we see enough strength from a successful breakout pullback to create a new trend tomorrow. Now, this one's a little bit, it's not as clear as you're going to see on the Nasdaq and as you saw on crude oil. Obviously, we have lower highs, right? The problem here is I don't really have enough evidence here to call this, right, really a triangle yet. So you'll notice I have it labeled here as a triangle to be determined, right? So it feels like it wants to be a triangle, but don't be surprised here if we end up seeing this thing maybe come back a little bit, then go up, and we're going to adjust that triangle a little bit, right? So it's not quite there yet, but you can kind of feel that prior week low, right? Price bounced off it, got rejected back up, and we're kind of sitting on that right now. So it feels like to me we have this is the trading range. That kind of feels like the range there. We definitely can see the falling resistance. We don't quite have the rising support completely nailed down yet. So again, don't be surprised if we see something like this tomorrow, right, in the early part of the session, and then we can kind of nail down, right, that triangle, right? So don't obviously jump the gun too fast here in the overnight session. Let's see what happens here, but it definitely feels quite range bound right around that prior week low. So whether you want to call this the range or whether you want to call this the range, it really gives me the same basic strategy here for tomorrow. Flat moving average, we're not seeing a trend that's very strong right now. I want to go up, 1-try, 2-try, and back down. Like to use, again, like I always say, right, use the edges of that triangle. Get it up, 1-try, 2-try, right? Let the buyers try twice and then sell, right, once we start seeing those buyers fail. As we go lower here, very strong move down here, right? Very strong move down. So in all reality, this could be this little trap high up here, right, for a move back down to retest the low. It doesn't feel like it right now, but in the next few hours, if we see this thing just really crush back down to that low, then I'm going to start rethinking this as just a bear market, right, going lower. So in the next few hours, we're going to be important here to see what happens on the E-mini. If we go lower and then back up, again, we'll be able to, right, really define that triangle, and then we'll know, right, buying low from there. However, if the next couple hours, if we see it just drop like a rock back down to retest that low, then you got to start thinking about this as more of a bearish market, right? Strong move down, correction, trap high, and a retest of that low, and I feel a lot more bearish right at that time. So really watching to see, do we collapse here overnight back down to that low? If that's the case, right, we'll continue here looking for that measured move target tomorrow, down at 25.50 and a quarter, or do we get sucked back up in the overnight? Then we can define that triangle a little bit better here, right, once that moving average flattens out. So scenario number one, right? We get the triangle confirmed, right? Scenario one, we get the triangle confirmed here in the overnight. Then we're looking for two try rule, one try, two try. Again, let the bears try once, let them try twice, and we'll buy once they fail on that two try rule, right? It works like a charm during range-bound markets. We already have the highs confirmed, so we can sell the highs we want to, right? One try, two try, right? And back down in from there. That's relatively easy as well. The only scenario we had to worry about tomorrow, well, maybe not worry about, but you got to be prepared for, is that return back down to that low. It's really going to be how the market does it, right? It really should have, once those bears sold off that trap and the buyers couldn't hold it, it should have sunk pretty quickly, right, back down to that low. But you'll notice they've been lazy about it, and it's probably because of that prior week low. So if I'm wrong about this triangle and it just dumps back down to that low, I'm then looking for either a rejection and a trap high, right? Rejection and a trap high, or acceptance and a two-legged pullback, right? Acceptance and a two-legged pullback. Either way, I'm looking to be a seller, right? So again, strong move down, rejection, trap high, acceptance, two-legged pullback, right, and look for that continuation down to that measured move. Just watch out, though. This measured move, obviously, right, is just underneath that low, and that will be, right, a major milestone for those bears. My gut tells me we're going range-bound here into tomorrow's session. I'll look and see what this looks like in a few hours here, right, as we get a little bit deeper into Asia. Again, probably going to have this to be a range, so one try, two try, and back up, one try, two try, and back up, right, and back down. I want to see where this thing goes in the next few hours, really confirm and nail down that triangle. That way we can really be confident with that tomorrow morning. Again, same thing as I said on crude oil. What would it take for a breakout higher? Yeah, strength, pullback, strength. Right, got to see a real strong move higher. That real strong move higher, hold a pullback, and then strong move through. Again, once we start seeing that strength go higher here, we now know looking for a new bull channel. Right, that new bull channel obviously, right, has an objective going back up to retest the high. Right, we got a bunch of levels here now waiting overhead as well, right, for long-term targets tomorrow. We'll see though, right? We'll see if we can get that strength going higher. You already have the plan. If the price goes lower, right? If that price shows some strength going lower, I'm looking for that either rejection with a trap high. If you are brand new here to schooloftrade.com, don't forget, we get a great free trial on the homepage of the website. If you're on the YouTube channel right now, there's a link in the description of the YouTube video. Follow that link over to the website at School of Trade and join that free trial. I'll shoot you a free pass. Come out and join me as a guest in the trade room. While you're here, don't forget, check out our beginner, intermediate, and advanced classes, and I'm always here to answer your questions 24/7, 365. Lots of trading ranges for tomorrow. Right, we talked about those 5 tricks to trading with ranges in a balanced market. Right, and again, I look forward to seeing you guys same time, same place tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time in the trade room tomorrow morning. Right, we'll execute the strategy with all of our advanced members. If I don't see you guys here tomorrow morning, we'll do it again, same time, same place tomorrow evening on our next edition of our nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.